My wife left me with our 1-year-old son for an influencer, but when I inherited $2.8 million, she came back begging me to raise her lover's baby, and what I did left everyone speechless. I'm 35 years old. I'm a doctor, and if you had told me 3 years ago that I'd be raising my son alone, a millionaire, and laughing at desperate calls from my ex-wife, I would have said you were crazy. But here we are. And I need to tell this story because there are still days when I can't believe how all of this unfolded. Like, the universe really has a twisted sense of humor. I guess I should start at the beginning, when everything was seemingly normal, or what I thought was normal because it turns out I'd been living a lie for months without knowing it. I met Brittany at the hospital where I work. She was a nurse. I was finishing my residency, and honestly, we connected fast. You know, those relationships that start intense and everything seems perfect. We got married like 2 years after we started dating. I was 29, she was 26, and everything seemed to be going well. We had a decent apartment, our jobs were going well. We talked about having kids eventually. Our son Gabriel was born when I was 33 years old, and those first months were tough. I'm not going to lie, Gabriel cried a lot. We slept little, but I thought it was normal. Brittany started complaining that motherhood wasn't what she expected, that she felt trapped, that she needed space, and I tried to be understanding. I told her to take time for herself, that I could take care of Gabriel more. I think at that moment I should have seen the signs, but I was so busy with work and taking care of the baby that I wasn't processing what was really happening. Gabriel was like a year old when Brittany came home one day and told me, "We need to talk," with that voice you use when you know you're about to destroy someone's life. I sat on the couch with Gabriel in my arms because he was about to fall asleep, and she pulled out some papers from her purse. I thought they were hospital bills or something like that, but then I saw they were divorce papers. All ready, all ready. I filled out, just missing my signature. And she simply said, "I've been seeing someone else for the past 6 months. His name is Cameron. He's a social media influencer, and I'm in love with him, not you." Just like that, without preamble, without trying to soften the blow, just the raw and direct information. I asked her if she was sure, if we could try couples therapy, and she looked at me as if I had suggested something ridiculous and said, "I already signed my part. I need you to sign this as soon as possible because I want to move on with my life." I don't know if you've ever felt that sensation that the floor disappears beneath your feet, but it was exactly that. Gabriel had fallen asleep in my arms, completely oblivious that his mother had just announced she was leaving us, and I could only think about how to explain this to him when he grew up. Brittany kept talking, saying she didn't want shared custody because Cameron and she wanted to travel and build their brand together, that I could keep the apartment, everything, that she just wanted to leave. I remember asking her, "And Gabriel, don't you care about your son?" And she shrugged and said, "You were always a better father than I was a mother. He'll be better off with you." As if she were talking about a piece of furniture she didn't want anymore, not about her 1-year-old son. I signed the papers that same week because, honestly, what was the point of prolonging the inevitable? My lawyer told me I was crazy to take advantage of the fact that she was willing to give up everything, and that's what I did. The divorce was finalized in record time, like 2 months, and Brittany moved in with Cameron to an apartment in the expensive part of town. She started posting photos on Instagram all the time. You know, that perfect couple type of content, trips, expensive restaurants, studied poses with captions about finding true love and living your best life. She blocked me from all her social media, which was fine because I didn't feel like seeing that shit. But mutual friends would send me screenshots from time to time because they couldn't believe the audacity. The first months as a single father were brutal. I'm not gonna lie. Gabriel was just over a year old, still wasn't sleeping through the night, and I was doing 12-hour shifts at the hospital. My mom helped when she could. I hired a nanny for the days I worked, and I basically functioned on caffeine and pure adrenaline. But it was also when I realized that Gabriel and I had a special connection. Like, he was my reason to keep going when everything else seemed like shit. Brittany never called, never asked about him, never sent money to help even though legally she didn't have to because she had given up everything. It was as if Gabriel and I didn't exist for her. Like 4 months passed after the divorce when Brittany called me for the first time. I saw her name on the screen and thought, okay, She's finally going to ask about Gabriel, but no. She told me she was pregnant, that it was Cameron's, obviously, that they were very happy, and that she just wanted me to know. I said, okay, congratulations, I guess. I don't know why you're telling me this. And she said something about closing cycles and moving forward as mature adults. I hung up, thinking it was weird, but didn't give it more thought. I had enough on my plate dealing with my own life to worry about hers. This is where the story gets interesting, and where, looking back, I can see that the universe was preparing something. My Aunt Gertrude, my dad's sister, was an incredible woman who never married or had children. She had built a real estate business from scratch in the 80s and was, I don't know, super successful but super discreet. I would visit her when I could. I'd take Gabriel to her, and she adored the kid. I remember once she told me, "You're the only one in the family who really cares. About me, not about my money." And I told her I didn't know what she was talking about, that to me she was just my aunt. She laughed and said, "You'll see." Aunt Gertrude died of a massive heart attack when Gabriel was like a year and a half old. It was sudden. She was 72 years old, and although I knew she was getting older, I never thought it would be so soon. I went to the funeral with Gabriel. We cried, and I was genuinely sad because I loved her. Like a week later, her lawyer called me and told me I needed to go to his office for the reading of the will. I thought maybe she had left me something sentimental, photos or some memento. I don't know, but when I arrived and the lawyer started reading, I almost fell out of my chair. Aunt Gertrude had left me everything, literally everything. Her house, her real estate business, her investment accounts, everything added up to like $2.8 million. I sat there thinking it was a joke. Like, is this really happening? But the lawyer showed me all the papers, everything legal and certified. I remember leaving that office in total shock. I called my mom crying. I couldn't even speak well, and she was asking me what happened, if I was okay, and when I could finally tell her, she started crying too. Suddenly, I had resources to give Gabriel everything he needed, to reduce my hours at the hospital if I wanted, to live without that constant stress of making ends meet. It was surreal. I didn't tell anyone else for a while because, I didn't want people to start treating me differently or asking me for money. I just wanted to process it quietly. Brittany found out like 2 months later. I don't know how. Probably some mutual acquaintance told her. By then, she was like 6 or 7 months pregnant, and one afternoon she showed up at my door without warning. I opened with Gabriel on my hip because we were playing, and the face she made when she saw me was weird, like trying to be sweet, but you could tell she had an agenda. She asked me if we could talk, and I told her I had nothing to talk to her about. But, okay, come in. She sat on the couch, smiled at Gabriel as if she hadn't abandoned him, and then dropped the bomb on me. She told me, "Patrick, I know things ended badly between us, but I've been thinking a lot lately, and I think I made a mistake, especially with Gabriel. I miss him so much." I looked at her like, "Seriously?" And she continued saying that motherhood is different the second time, that now she was ready, that Cameron and she were having problems because he wasn't ready to be a father. Then she got to the real point of her visit. She asked me if I would be willing to sign her baby's birth certificate when it was born, put myself as the legal father, because she didn't want the baby to grow up without a stable father figure like me. She said it with that manipulative voice she probably used for months to deceive me about the affair, and I literally laughed in her face. I told her, "Let me see if I understand. You left me for Cameron. You abandoned your son. You disappeared for more than a year. And now you want me to claim a baby that isn't even mine because your relationship is going to shit? Is that it?" She immediately got defensive, saying it wasn't like that she was just thinking about the baby's future, that I now had resources thanks to my aunt, that I could give both children a good life. That's when I realized she had found out about the money and saw an opportunity. I told her to leave my house and never come back, that if she needed anything for Gabriel to talk to my lawyer, but not to contact me again. She started crying, saying I was cruel, that she just wanted what was best for everyone, and I closed the door in her face. That night, I couldn't sleep, thinking about the audacity of that woman. But then something occurred to me. Did Cameron know what Brittany was planning? Was he okay with this? Or was she doing it behind his back? I decided he had a Right to know. I found his Instagram profile. He had like 200,000 followers. He made content about fitness and lifestyle, and I sent him a direct message explaining the whole situation. I told him exactly what Brittany had asked me, that she wanted me to claim her baby, that apparently they were having problems, and that I thought he deserved to know what kind of person the mother of his child was. I didn't expect a response, but like 2 hours later, I got a long message. Cameron wrote to me that he couldn't believe what he was reading, that Brittany had told him I was harassing her and asking her to get back together, that I had offered her money to get her back. I sent him screenshots of our messages, of her showing up at my door. I even sent him the divorce history where you could clearly see that she had initiated everything and given up custody. He told me they were going to have a serious conversation that night and that he would keep me informed. I don't know why, but I felt that. Cameron was a good guy who was being manipulated just like I was, and I was right. The next day, Cameron wrote to me again saying he had confronted Brittany and she admitted everything. She had told him I was rich now and that I would be perfect to raise the baby, that they could continue with their careers without the responsibilities of a child. Cameron was furious. He told me that he did want to be a father, that all the time Brittany told him she did too, but now he saw it was a lie. He thanked me for telling him the truth and told me he had broken off the engagement. Yes, it turns out they were engaged, and I had no idea. I felt bad for the guy, honestly, because I knew exactly how he felt. Things got crazier after that. Like 2 weeks later, Brittany showed up at my house again, but this time with a lawyer. She handed me papers to formally give up any rights to Gabriel, and I thought she was trolling me because she had already done that in the divorce. My lawyer reviewed the documents and explained to me that she was trying to legally ensure that I could never claim child support or shared custody in the future, basically cutting all legal ties with her own son. I signed without thinking twice, and I asked her why she was doing this now. And she looked at me with pure hatred and said, "Because you ruined my life. You ruined my relationship, and I want to make sure you can never use Gabriel to manipulate me." I laughed and told her, "Brittany, I didn't ruin anything. You did it all by yourself." And she left furious. The baby was born like a month later, a girl, and Cameron wrote to tell me. He told me he had requested a paternity test before signing the birth certificate, because after everything that happened, he didn't trust anything. The results confirmed it was his daughter, and he decided to end the relationship with Brittany permanently, but take full custody of the baby. He told me that Brittany didn't even fight for custody, that she signed everything, without problem because she just wanted to continue with her influencer life. I thought, this woman literally abandoned 2 children with different fathers in less than 2 years. Who does that? What happened next was, I don't know, poetic justice, I guess? People on social media started investigating Brittany. It turns out some of our mutual acquaintances had started commenting on the situation. Nothing specific, but enough for people to realize something weird was happening. Someone discovered she had abandoned her son, that she had tried to manipulate both Cameron and me, and they started exposing her. Her Instagram account that had like 50,000 followers started filling up with negative comments. She lost collaborations with brands, and basically her influencer career went to shit in a matter of weeks. I had nothing to do with it. Honestly, I wasn't even paying attention. But friends sent me updates because they knew the story. Brittany eventually deleted all her social media and moved back in with her parents. I found out through my mom, who knew Brittany's mom from the neighborhood, that her parents were embarrassed by her and had given her an ultimatum to get a job and contribute to the house or leave. I don't know what she decided to do, honestly, and I don't care. For a while, she completely disappeared from the radar. Nobody knew about her, and I was happy not to have to think about her existence. Gabriel is now almost 4 years old, and he's the most incredible kid. He has no memory of his mother, which is probably better. I've explained to him in a simple way that Mom doesn't live with us, and he accepts it without problem because it's all he knows. I reduced my hours at the hospital thanks to Aunt Gertrude's inheritance. I work 3 days a week now, and the rest of the time I dedicate to Gabriel and managing the real estate business I inherited. I hired a manager who knows much more than me to handle it day to day, but I meet with him regularly to learn. My aunt's house I converted into our family home. It's huge. It has a yard where Gabriel plays, and finally I feel like we have stability. Last week, almost 3 years after everything exploded, My phone rang with an unknown number. Normally I don't answer, but something made me pick up. It was Brittany. Her voice sounded different, like smaller, more desperate, and she told me, "Patrick, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but I need to talk to you. I think I made the worst mistake of my life leaving you guys." She started telling me she had been in therapy, that she realized the damage she caused, that she missed Gabriel even though she knew he didn't remember her, and then she got to the real point. She asked me if we could try again, start over, that she was different now and that we could be a family. I laughed, like I really laughed. And I told her, "Brittany, you don't miss Gabriel, you miss the stability and the money I now have, and that's never going to happen." She started protesting, saying it wasn't like that, but I hung up before she could finish. I told Cameron about the call because we've kept in touch from time to time, since our children are half-siblings, technically. He laughed and told me she had called him too with a similar story, that she wanted to be part of his daughter's life. He told her the same thing I did. No. We agreed to block any form of contact from Brittany because enough was enough. I don't know what the future holds for Brittany, and honestly, I don't care. I know that sounds cold, but after everything she did, after abandoning her son when he was a year old, after trying to manipulate Cameron and me, after basically demonstrating that she only cares about herself, I don't owe her anything. Gabriel is happy, healthy, and loves his life. I'm happy. I have a job I love, but that doesn't consume me. I have resources to give my son opportunities I never had, and I have peace of mind. Cameron has his daughter, and he's doing a great job as a single dad, too. We're all better off without Brittany in our lives, and I think she's finally realizing that, but it's too late. Some doors, when they close forever. You know what I mean?